January 7th recap for fantasy basketball. And the first game of the night, the Brooklyn Nets and the 76ers. And the Nets win this one without no Kyrie Irving and no Kevin Durant in this one, 122-109. And this was an upset victory here for the Nets, obviously. You're without your two main stars, and you beat a 7-1 Sixer team coming in. So let's see the box score here. Tobias Harris, 34 minutes, 17 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, 7 of 16 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. So Tobias, he's been very consistent this season, and he's putting up these similar numbers each and every game, and he's even adding a couple threes a game. And his field goal, it's been pretty decent. This game, just a lick under 50%. So Tobias Harris, he's been a solid fantasy player, and hopefully he continues this way. Danny Green, not on the fantasy radar, in my opinion, but 32 minutes once again here with the started small forward, 9 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist here for Danny Green, and 3 for 5 from 3. But we got to see more out of him to be on fantasy radars. Ben Simmons, he didn't have a good game at all in this one. And Simmons this season, his scoring isn't all that great. I think he's averaging only 12, 13 points a game. And in this one, in 31 minutes, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 of 13 from the field. He went 3 for 4 from the line, which is good, but 0 for 1 from 3. And he had a bunch of turnovers. So Simmons, we need to see his scoring improve here, or he might be on the sell him off list this week at the guard position, because his scoring hasn't really got the job done. And in this game, he couldn't get the open man. Shake Milton, he started for Seth Curry in this one. And Seth Curry, he has COVID-19. And now with him having it, the 76ers, the whole team has to quarantine now for a week or two probably. And now if you have 76er players, they're not going to be useful probably the rest of this week, obviously, and most of week 4, and maybe headed into week 5. So that's the big news with the Sixers here. But Shake Milton in a good spot start here for Seth Curry, 24 points, 7 assists and a rebound, and he went 8 for 13 from the field, 7 for 7 from the line, and 1 of 4 from 3. So Milton, he's a player I've been saying the last few weeks now to go out there and get on the wire, and we saw him with a bigger role in this game, and he played well. So if he's out there, pick him up. I know the Sixers now, they'll be off a week or two, but still, you got to get these guys on your roster, because the Sixers, they're going to make up these games anyway, I would think. And you'll have these guys at the latter part of the season playing more games than they are now. Joel Embiid, pretty decent game for him. He started off slow, but he still ended up with a solid double-double, 20 points, 12 boards, 3 assists, 7 of 14 from the field, and 2 for 2 from 3. So Embiid, you know he's a stud. You got him in the second, third round of your fantasy drafts, and he's putting those numbers up. The only thing here, this Sixer team, they came in flat after a crazy win the other night, scoring 141. And then the Nets holding them down in this one. Tyler Maxey, pretty good game, but he got more minutes as well with Curry out. 16 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. They're high on Maxey, but right now he don't have fantasy value. He's not playing enough. Maybe as the season goes on he will. And Dynasty and Keeper Leagues, he has more value than redrafts. And Dwight Howard, pretty good game in 15 minutes. 9 points, 12 boards, and an assist. But Howard, he's not playing enough minutes right now to be worthy of a roster spot. Now to the net side of things, Jeff Green, he got the start again in this one, and he had a decent stat line. 14 points, a rebound, an assist, 2 for 5 from 3, 4 for 7 from the field. So if Durant would miss a crazy amount of time, Jeff Green, he would have fantasy value. But at this time, I don't buy it. Taurean Prince, 21 minutes, 13 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 for 4 from 3, 4 for 8 from the field. Same with him. If the Nets are going to go with this lineup here, changing things up with Harris off the bench. Now, Prince, he might actually have some value. We saw him on the Hawks a few seasons ago, and he wasn't bad. So keep an eye on Prince. The Nets play tonight again at Memphis, so we'll see their rotation in that one. Karis LeVert, he got the start at point guard in this one with Irvin out, and he didn't disappoint. 22 points, 7 rebounds, 10 assists. He almost had a triple-double, but the thing with LeVert this season, the only problem is his field goal percentage. But now that Kyrie Irving pretty much went AWOL and he don't want to play, it seems like, which it's not surprising to me. If you've been watching my videos so far this season, I've been saying to sell him high. This guy, this times, he don't want to play, and he never plays a full season. Say, Karis LeVert, if an owner's willing to trade him, he's a guy to go out there and get, because he's going to play major minutes this season, even if these guys both play. But Irvin, I don't think he's going to play that many games this year. Brown, another start. He didn't do much. 5 points, 1 rebound, 2 for 4 from the field. He could stay on the wire. Jared Allen, since this season, he's been a monster. And another big game here. 15 points, 11 boards, 3 assists, 5 for 6 from the field, 5 for 6 from the line. And Allen's a stud. DeAndre Jordan, his minutes have been cut now. And he's the man coming off the bench. And it's better off here. Allen, it's his time to shine. And right here, he's getting the job done. Joe Harris, a huge game in this one, leading the Nets to victory. 28 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 and 9 from 3, and 11 and 19 from the field. Joe Harris, we know he's a sharpshooting specialist, where he's going to help in points, but in this one, he even added 6 rebounds and 4 assists and 6 threes, and this is why the Nets paid this guy. He's pretty consistent. He's going to help fantasy teams this year, but nights when Durant and Irvin are playing, obviously, he's not going to have huge nights like this. TLC here, he didn't have a great game, and he don't really have fantasy value. I know he played expanded role as well in 26 minutes. He did have 9 points, 4 boards, and an assist, but he's not doing much. And DeAndre Jordan, I said to drop him earlier in the week, and in this one, 18 minutes, 2 points, 11 rebounds, which is impressive, and 4 assists. But Jordan, he's just not putting up stat lines this season. And he's got to be more consistent and play more for him to get a roster spot back in most fantasy leagues. So that was the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. Cleveland Cavs and the Memphis Grizzlies. And the Cavs with another victory here, 94-90. And the Cavs off to a surprising start so far in the early going at a 5-4 record here. And the Grizzlies, they've been struggling. And obviously the injuries to Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. haven't helped. And they folded 2-6 now here in the early going. Now let's get to the box score for Cleveland. Larry Nance, a nice bounce back game here for Nance. 18 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and a perfect 7 for 7 from the field. And he had 4 threes, which is great too. So Larry Nance, I said he should be rostered in all leagues, but I would sell him off because his stats have been inconsistent. And this is a great game here. So maybe now, Nance, you could sell him off after having a perfect game pretty much. I know he's going to play a lot. Kevin Love, he's another guy. I don't think this guy really wants to play, and he's been injury prone. He won his championship, and he got his big contract. So Nance, the whole season, should have a lot of minutes played and value. C.D. Osman, a good game here. 16 points, 5 boards, 7 assists, 6 for 19 from the field, 4 for 11 from 3. So C.D. Osman, he's a pretty good player, but he's inconsistent as well. You got to see 4 or 5 games in a row where he's putting up numbers. I know he's the starter right now for this team with the injuries to Kevin Porter, Darius Garland, and Dante Exum. But right now, C.D. Osman should still be on waiver wires unless you're in deep leagues. Damian Dotson, he got the rare start in this one because Colin Sexton was out as well. So this team, they were banged up, but they still pulled it out. And right here, Dotson, I thought they wouldn't use him much this season, but with all the injuries and stuff, he's got a decent amount of playing time here in the first 9-10 games of the season. 35 minutes, 9 points, 2 boards, 6 assists, 1 for 8 from 3, 3 of 12 from the field. Dotson, I thought with the Knicks he was going to develop into a great player, but it just didn't happen. But now here in his second team of his career, the Cleveland Cavs, so far, he's getting a chance to play, but he's not really taking opportunity of it. So we'll see what he could do. Akaro, the rookie here, 39 minutes, 8 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, 3 and 9 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. So Akaro, they got him early in the first round, obviously. He's been playing some decent minutes now the last few games, but so far, he just hasn't put up the numbers. If you're in deep leagues, you could go get him. Or if you think this guy's got potential, you could hold on to him and keep him. But I'm not expecting great stat lines or big numbers for him for a while. Andre Drummond, he had a monster game once again in this one. 22 points, 15 rebounds, 3 assists, 9 of 20 from the field. And he did go 4 for 6 from the line. That's pretty good for Drummond. Drummond, he was a stud coming into the year, third or fourth round of drafts, and he gives you a little bit of everything at the center position, except he's not going to really hit many threes, and his free throw percentage is going to hurt. But besides that, he's a walking double-double, and he'll get a block and a half to 2 a game. Stevens, he got 20 minutes of work, but no impact, 2 points, 3 rebounds. He don't have fantasy value. JaVale McGee, he had a decent game here, 17 minutes of play, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 5 for 7 from the field, and he did add a 3, which is pretty good. But JaVale McGee, he's not playing enough minutes right now. Drummond and the other starters playing huge minutes for this undermanned Cavs team. But McGee, in the beginning of the week, I recommended him as a starter. So if you need a spot a spot pickup this week, he's not a bad guy to get, is McGee, but I don't know. And Wade and Thon Maker, no value. Now to the Memphis side of things. Brandon Clark, another decent game here. 30 minutes, 14 points, 9 boards, 2 assists, 7-11 from the field. So Clark, I said he's going to be up and down this season, but he's getting the minutes here in Memphis. Memphis, it looks like it's going to be a lost season for the most part because of the injuries and just how tough the Western Conference is. But right now, Brandon Clark, he's playing a good role on this team, and he should be owned in all 12-team leagues. Plus, Kyle Anderson, another decent stat line, 10 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, 4 for 12 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3. Anderson, just like Clark, he's going to have great games, and then he's going to have poor ones. But he's got to be owned in every league until this team gets healthy because he's playing a major role. He's starting, and we've seen him already early in the season have some blow-up games. Tyus Jones, he's on the fringe. He was a recommended pickup this week. And these are the type of stat lines he's going to give. Low points, middle-of-the-pack assist, and a couple boards, and 26 minutes of play. 9 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists for Jones, 4 and 9 from the field, and he added a 3. Morant, he's probably going to be out another 3 or 4 weeks. So Jones and Bain, they're going to split playing time back there in the backcourt. None of them are great, but obviously if you got injuries or an open roster spot, these guys aren't the worst of pickups here, so you could give them a look. Dylan Brooks, 28 minutes, 11 points, a rebound, 4 assists. So like I said with the first 3 guys, Brooks too, he's going to have good and bad games. These guys, it's a young team here in Memphis. A lot of growing pains. And right now, they're without their 2 best players, arguably, in Ja Morant, obviously, and Jaren Jackson. So if those guys get back, then most of these guys will probably be droppable. But right now, they're starting. They're playing 25, 30 minutes a game here for Memphis. And they're worthy in fantasy on 12-plus team leagues. Valanciunas, another good game here, 17 and 10, 3 assists, 6 or 11 from the field, and he added a 3. Valanciunas, you know he's a walking double-double. You know what you're going to get from him. And he's been a great center throughout his career with Toronto here in Memphis. Just the only thing with him is the injuries. But if he stays healthy, he's going to be great. Desmond Bain, mediocre game here. 23 minutes as the 6th man off the bench. 6 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, 2 or 6 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. So Bain only in the deepest of leagues. He should be a player on fantasy rosters. He's available in 94% of leagues. Not many owners looking at him or going for him because he's been inconsistent as well. Melton, he's back from injury. He got a good contract this season, but he's not fantasy relevant at this time. 21 minutes, 8 points, 3 boards, 3 assists for Melton. You got to see more out of him. Tillman, no impact. Grayson Allen, another guy in and out of the rotation. And Gorgie Zhang, a guy I actually have in a couple leagues. This game he had a downer, 7 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, but he did add a 3. And Zhang, he's been up and down just like all these other guys. So it's been inconsistency here for Memphis Grizzlies owners of these players. But someone's got to have him on their teams. And Zhang, he's been pretty good. And I think tonight versus Brooklyn, he could bounce back. So I wouldn't drop Zhang yet unless, he just starts to struggle and doesn't do much. Now on to the Dallas Mavs and the Denver Nuggets in an overtime thriller this one was. And the 2 overseas guys who really made an impact since coming into the NBA, Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokovic, they were going shot for shot with their teams, and they both had huge games in this one. Now to the Mavericks box score. Maxi Kleber, 9 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, 3 of 5 from 3, and 3 of 7 from field. So Kleber, he's the big man I said you want over here in Dallas until Kristaps Porzingis comes back. Porzingis supposedly he's getting close, maybe a week or two, but I'll believe it when I see it. So right now, Kleber, he should be owned in all 10 and 12 team leagues pretty much because he's going to play the minutes. He's a big man over there, and he's a decent three-point shooter as well. Finney Smith, 36 minutes of play, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and he did add 4 for 8 from 3, which is good. So Finney Smith, we'll see what he could do as the weeks go on, if he's going to start once Kristaps comes back. I know the Mavs made a couple lineup changes the last couple games here, moving Powell out of the starting lineup and Tim Hardaway for Willie Cauley-Stein and Kleber. So right now, Finney Smith, he's getting some minutes. He could hit some threes, and he's a decent rebounder too, but I don't think his value is that great. Luka Doncic, a rebound shy of a triple-double in this one, and he was a stud. He was an early round draft pick for a reason in fantasy at the first to fourth pick, and he's putting up numbers. I think he started off a little slow. The only troubling thing in this one, 10 for 15 from the line. You want to see that improve, but besides that, Luke is a total stud. There's going to be many nights where he has huge games like this and come close to triple-doubles and get them. Josh Richardson, he's a player I said to sell high on, and in this one, he's a one-trick pony, Richardson. He's a three-point shooter and a scorer, but he didn't give you anything else in this one, really. 1 rebound, 1 assist, but he's playing major minutes, obviously, for this Mav team. Right now, he's over Tim Hardaway here in the pecking order to getting a crazy 41 minutes in this one. So he definitely should be owned in fantasy leagues, but if you could get rid of him and package him with someone else for a player you want or someone better, I would do so. Willie Cauley-Stein, he got the start again here at center. 26 minutes of play, 5 points, 9 rebounds. Stein, he has no fantasy value. I know he's starting now, but a lot of empty stats, only the 9 rebounds is intriguing. Tim Hardaway, 24 minutes off the bench, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 4 dimes in this one. So Tim Hardaway, you know, he's a one-trick type of guy too, where he's going to help at threes and scoring. It would be nice to see his assists get consistent, like 3 or 4 a game, and this one he did have 4 and a few rebounds. So Hardaway, he should be owned in most 10-plus team leagues because he's a good scorer, and this guy, he could have huge games from time to time. Boban, he actually played in this one, 16 minutes. He's been out of the rotation, but he had 12 points and 3 boards, so a good game for Boban. Jalen Brunson, he was a recommended pickup this week after having a 32-point game, but that was just one blow-up game for Brunson, and now he hasn't done much. 7 points, 2 boards, 3 assists in this one. Dwight Powell, no fantasy value. He's pretty much getting out of the rotation, it seems like, as the games are going on. 7 points in 10 minutes. And James Johnson, no value. Now to the Denver box score. Paul Millsap, he might be droppable as well here. 5 points, 5 boards, 4 assists. Millsap, I know he's starting, playing 25, 30 minutes a game, but he's just not doing much for fantasy owners right now. And in 10-team leagues, he's definitely cuttable. And 12, another bad game or two, he's cuttable. Will Barton, he was a player I said to cut early in the week. I know he had a 20-point game the other night, but in this one, once again, he didn't do much of anything. 8 points, 7 boards, 2 assists, 3 for 7 from the field. The only thing in Barton's favor, though, and it's a big hit for the Nuggets, though, and Michael Porter Jr. owners. Another 10 days now. He's got to stay away from the team. I don't know what happened, if he caught it again or what, but that's a big hit. That's another 4 or 5 games Porter Jr. is going to miss. He was a guy I thought would have a breakout season, but now missing 2 weeks pretty much to 3 weeks is a big hit here. So hopefully Porter gets better and he gets back here for the Nuggets and fantasy owners. Jamal Murray, 46 minutes of play, and he had a mediocre game. 21 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, 8 of 19 from the field, and 3 for 9 from 3. So Murray, he hasn't been as good as he was in the bubble. And there's been theories that the bubble, some players would play out of their mind, and it's different than playing in a real arena or with fans. And right now, Murray, his numbers are nowhere near what they were in the bubble from the scoring of aspect of things. So Murray, maybe the bubble did enhance his game last season, because so far this year, he's only cracked 30 points once. Gary Harris, he's still playing major minutes for this team, but he's not owned in many fantasy leagues at all. But he had a decent ball game here, 15 points, 4 rebounds, an assist, 6 for 9 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. So Harris, if he can continue to build his stamina up and play more minutes because he's still not 100% from his injury last season as well. I think he can mold himself into a fantasy player like he was 2-3 seasons ago. Nikola Jokic, another stud game for him here. 41 minutes of play, 38 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, 14 from 31 from the field, which isn't great, and 6 for 10 from the line. Not good, 60%, and 4 for 10 from 3. Jokic's a stud, though. The whole season, he's putting up huge stat lines, and he's picking up where he left off in the playoffs last year. So Jokic, I said he possibly might be the best big man in fantasy this season coming into the year. And so far in the first 10 games, he definitely is. PJ Dozier, he played 26 minutes, 9 points, 3 boards. But at this time, he has no value, especially when Michael Porter comes back. Monty Morris, I recommended to pick him up early in the week. And he had a decent game here. 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. So he's the backup point guard here for this Denver team. And there's games where Morris, he could pop off and have a huge one. But there's more stat lines like this you could expect. So if Morris is frustrating to own right now and you expecting more, you could drop him. But he's still going to have a decent role. Michael Green, he's a guy starting to pop up on the pickup wire on the waivers here. Another solid game for Green and only 18 minutes of play. 10 points, 9 rebounds, and he added 2 threes. So Green, if he could play a little more minutes a game, he's going to have good value and be valuable in 12-team leagues and more for fantasy owners. Trailblazers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Blazers here with a big victory, 135-117. They improved to 4-4, and the Wolves, the struggles continue so far. They dropped to 2-6 here. Now to the Wolves box score to start this one off. Juan Hernan-Gomez, another start here, and he came off a 25-point game the other night. 12.6 boards, 2 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 8 from the field. So Juan Hernan-Gomez, if he's going to play major minutes for this team, he might be worthy of a pickup, but we got to see more out of him. He only played 21 minutes in this game, but this game got out of hand early. And you see here, the Timberwolves played a lot of their bench players in this one because this one was a blowout early. Jared Culver, another start, no impact, and he has no fantasy value right now. 19 minutes, only 7 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, 3 for 6 from the field. Culver last season, he was a rookie and he didn't play many minutes for this Timberwolf team. And right now he's starting, but his minutes have been mediocre to best at 20 to 25 minutes a game. So we got to see more out of him to be owned in fantasy leagues. D'Angelo Russell, D'Lo, he's starting to get it going now. And some people have asked me, should I sell D'Lo? I wouldn't sell him. The Wolves, they're a struggling team, and they need scoring, especially with Karl Anthony Towns out. And D'Lo, I still think he's the best pure scorer on this roster besides Towns. But D'Lo obviously could create his own shot. He could get hot any minute during the games and hit threes left and right. And in this one, 26 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, a good field goal percentage as well. 9 of 16 from the field, 5 of 6 from the line, and 3 for 7 from 3. So D'Lo, he's a stud. He's a pure scorer, and he's a player I wouldn't trade at all. He's just going to go up from here right now. And now 2 back-to-back good games for him. On the other hand, Malik Beasley, another start here. 27 minutes, 12 points, 4 boards, 2 assists. And Beasley, he's a player I said to sell high this week, was Beasley. He put together a few great games, but now that D'Angelo Russell is starting to heat up and cook, Beasley, he's going to be the second option on this offense, or even the third option, depending if Anthony Edwards has nights like he did in this one. But Beasley, he's not going to be a great scorer. Last season, he only averaged 12 points a game, and this year he's averaging about 18 to 20, I believe. And those numbers, they're not going to stick. And Beasley, he's a good sell-high candidate. Ed Davis, another start, but he's just a body and a veteran at this point. He has no fantasy value. 13 minutes of play, no points, 1 rebound. So you know the struggle's real here for Minnesota with Ed Davis playing. Anthony Edwards, the rookie here, he had an impressive ball game. 26 points, 4 boards, and an assist. 9 for 21 from the field, 5 for 7 from the line. And he did add 3 for 10 from 3, even though that's 30%. And Edwards, the thing with him, which he's got to get at, we know he's a pure scorer. This is why he was the number 1 pick in the NBA draft this season. But he's not a good 3-point shooter at all, or a mid-range shooter. So Edwards, he's got to work on his shot. I'm sure they got him working hard over there in Minnesota. And once he gets that going, which will probably take a couple seasons to develop a good jump shot, he's going to be lights out, I believe, is Edwards scoring the basketball. Ricky Rubio, 10 assists in this one, but still no fantasy value. He's on the bench now. He played 28 minutes, I get it, but he's not scoring the basketball, and his assist numbers have been down a lot this season, even though he had 10 in this one. He's still not worthy of 10, 12 team leagues of being owned. He should be dropped in all of those. Jared Vanderbilt, a good double-double in this one. In 20 minutes of play, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 4 or 7 from the field, 2 for 3 from the line. So Vanderbilt, it was a good game for him. We got to see more out of him. This is his best game of the season. I've seen his percentage has gone up in ads this morning, but right now, Vanderbilt, I wouldn't rush to the wire and get him. Naz Reid, if you dropped him, it might have been prematurely. I said to hold on to him and see what he does the next few games. And another decent line for him here after only playing a few minutes and scoring 2 points the game before. 13 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist, and he added a 3. So Reed, he's going to play backup center. I know Ed Davis is starting, but obviously looking at the box scores, and in this one, Davis is playing limited minutes and not doing much. So Naz Reid, he should be owned in 12-team leagues plus because he's starting for this team he's playing, he was getting starter minutes, and he's still going to contribute for fantasy teams. Now to Portland, Robert Covington, I just don't get it. Another bad game for him here. He's a player I said to buy low, but right now, Covington, it's just been bad what he's been doing. He's not doing much of anything. 3 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Last season, he fit better with Westbrook and Harden, believe it or not. This year with Lillard and Covington, he just don't fit with these guys on the scoring end. So right now, Covington, he might be in the waters of being droppable soon if he has a couple awful performances more like this. Derrick Jones, I said it once, I'll say it again. He's not fantasy relevant. They're starting him. He's better in real life than fantasy. 18 minutes, 9 points, 3 rebounds, and assist. 3 for 4 from the field and 1 3. So Jones, he should stay on the wire. Damian Lillard, monster game for him. 39 points, 7 boards, 7 assists. 7 for 12 from downtown. And Damian Lillard this year, his shot to get better shot selection than last year. 13 for 21 from the field. His field goal has been pretty solid so far this year. And Lillard, he was a first-round pick for a reason. And there's going to be many nights where he has games like this. McCollum, another steady player, 20 points, 3 boards, 4 assists, 4 for 9 from 3. You know what you're going to get from McCollum. Good scoring, a few boards, a few assists. And this guy's been a stud now the last few seasons. Jusuf Nurkic, a nice game here. 17 points, 7 boards, 8 for 10 from the field for Nurkic, and 1 for 2 from the line. So Nurkic now, he's put a couple games in a row together, and hopefully he's headed in the right direction. He was a player I said to sell off this week because I just don't know if the consistency's going to be there. Gary Trent, he was the 6th man off the bench here, 27 minutes, only 9 points and a rebound for Trent. Trent, he'll have some nights where he goes off like we saw a few weeks ago versus the Lakers, where he had 28 points, but right now only in deepest of leagues, he should be owned. Carmelo Anthony, 9 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, 1 for 4 from 3. Anthony, he's on the fringe of being a player that should be owned in 12 to 14 team leagues, but 10 teams or less, Anthony, he don't have enough value or playing time to be owned then. Rodney Hood, he actually played extended minutes, but most of these guys on the bench played as well here because of the blowout. But Hood, he has no value. And his Cantor, another decent game here. And once again, his minutes dropped significantly for Cantor. 10.7 boards, though, in only 13 minutes. And Cantor, he should be owned in most fantasy leagues, even with the minutes drop in the last few games. And now to the last game of the night, which was a shocker. The San Antonio Spurs, they beat the Los Angeles Lakers 118-109. So they get payback from last week after losing to the Spurs. And the Lakers, they won 4 in a row coming into this one. But the Spurs give them a good beating here and a shocking victory. Now to the Spurs side of things. Keldon Johnson, he's been solid this year in fantasy, but this was just an off night for him. 5 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 of 10 from the field with a 3. Johnson will be fine. He's an up-and-coming player here for this Spur team. And it was just a bad game. He's still playing. He's still starting. He'll be fine, so don't worry, Keldon Johnson owners, for this one bad game. DeMar DeRozan, a good bounce back in this one. 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists. And this season, DeMar DeRozan, not just the scoring, the assist numbers have been great for him. He's averaging 6.5, I believe, assists a game so far in the early season. He even added 2 threes in this one, and his field goal percentage wasn't awful. So DeMar DeRozan with the Spur team, he's taking on a different type of role. He's running more of the point guard, it seems like, in the early going and bringing the ball up more, with his assist numbers going up and less shot attempts than usual for him. Lonnie Walker, he might be back on the radar. A good game for him in this one. 26 minutes, 14 points, 6 boards, 2 assists, and a nice 6 for 11 from the field. And he added 2 threes in 4 attempts. So Lonnie Walker, he's a decent ball player. The Spurs obviously high on him. They've been starting him now. And Derek White, he got injured again, and we don't know how much longer he's going to be out. But Lonnie Walker's getting the opportunity. He's a guy I recommended a few weeks ago to pick up, and he's a hold right now. Just wait and see what he does. DeJounte Murray, he's been a good fantasy player this season, and another pretty good game here for him. 18 points, 8 boards, 2 assists, 7 of 14 from the field, and 2 for 4 from 3. So Murray, you got him in the 6th or 7th round of fantasy drafts, and he's putting up those type of numbers right now. LaMarcus Aldridge, he was the man they were missing, obviously, is the Spur team. Now in his 2 games since he returned, they're 2-0, beating 2 great teams in the Clippers and the Lakers. And Aldridge had a big one in this one. 28 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 11 of 18 from the field. And he added 3 threes. Aldridge, his game's expanded now the last few seasons. And this is why he's still pretty good in this NBA, is Aldridge. He could shoot the 3. He always had that mid-range game. And he's a pretty good ball player with a good IQ. So Aldridge, if you drafted him later in your leagues, now he's paying dividends. And the only thing with him is health. But I know he's not going to play pretty much any back-to-backs. And he's going to have maintenance days off here and there. But Aldridge, he's giving you good value at the powered forward and center position. Patty Mills, another decent game here. 10 points, 2 boards, 7 assists, 1 for 3 from 3. But Mills, this is what he does. He'll have one big game where he goes 25 or plus points and have 6 or 7 threes, and then everyone runs to the wire and they pick him up, and then he just has a minor game like this. So Mills, he's not worth the fantasy spot unless you're in 16 teams or deeper. Rudy Gay, he's worth the spot, and he was a recommended pickup this week. And him and Carmelo Anthony, these 2 type of guys are pretty similar. The stat lines they're going to give you. Gay in this one, 15 points, 6 boards, and he added 3 threes. So he's a good player to have at the end of your bench and play him when you need some players to play. So Rudy Gay, he's worthy to be owned in 12-team leagues or more. And these are the type of stats you expect. Poultry back to the bench, obviously, with Aldridge back, even when he started, no value. So the rest of these guys, Derek White, we'll see when he comes back, but I don't know when he will. And now to the Lakers side of things, Anthony Davis, I think he's on cruise control. This guy rolls out of bed and gets 20 and 10, and we've only seen one huge game from Davis. Last season in the playoffs, he was an animal with 31 points a game and 12 rebounds he averaged. Right now, his stats aren't at that level, and it just seems like his field goal attempts have gone down and his trips to the foul line. So I don't know what it is with Davis. He's still putting up good numbers, but not that top 5 numbers where he got drafted in fantasy leagues. But him and the Lakers, they'll be fine. It's the regular season. The Lakers, I think they're on cruise control as well, where they're not going to go all out every game. LeBron James, another huge game in this one. 27 points, 6 boards, 12 assists in this one. So LeBron, I thought he would miss games. I keep saying this, but obviously not. And he even added 4 threes. He was a second-round pick in most fantasy drafts, was LeBron, and he's still putting up stud numbers here. Dennis Schroeder, an off game in this one. 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 for 11 from the field. Schroeder, he's a good player, but sometimes when you play with 2 superstars like LeBron and Davis, your numbers are going to peak and valley at times, and you'll be inconsistent. But Schroeder, I'm not worried about him. It was just an off night. Kyle Kuzma, he had a good double-double in this one. 13 points, 10 rebounds in 30 minutes of play, and another start at the shooting guard position. So right now, Caldwell Pope with the ankle sprain. Kuzma's getting the starts and more playing time, and he should be owned in all 12-team leagues and more because he's playing, he's getting attempts, and in this game he shot the ball more than LeBron with 16 field goal attempts, and Davis was the only guy on the team ahead of him with 17. Marcus Gasol, he's just a big body and a guy who could play some D for this Laker team at this time. He's not going to have fantasy value. And a guy I said a few weeks ago to drop 4 points, 1 rebound. Wes Matthews, same thing. He's inconsistent. He's going to have some big games, but he's not worth the roster spot either. 21 minutes of play, only 3 points. Tyler, whatever his name is, Horton Tucker, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 for 9 from the field. The Lakers are high on this guy, and he showed some flashes this season, but his minutes are way inconsistent for him to have a fantasy value. Also, Alex Caruso, he got off the bench. He hasn't been playing at all really this season, but he got 20 minutes in this one. 8 points, 3 boards, and an assist, and Caruso, he's not going to have fantasy value. Montrezl Harrell, 10 points, 6 boards, only 18 minutes of play. Some foul trouble in this one for Harrell. And Harrell, his numbers so far this season, they haven't been as great as last year. And you could get lost in the shuffle as a player on this Laker team where you defer to 2 superstars like LeBron and Davis. And so far, both guys, they really haven't missed any games. I think Davis won and LeBron didn't miss any. So right now, these Laker guys, most of them, their value ain't great. The only guys to really own here is Schroeder, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Harrell, and Kuzma in deep leagues. So that was the January 7th recap.